former Mayor Sharon Sayles Belton, and she's been a player in moving our community forward, not only locally but nationally. Sharon Sayles Belton, good afternoon. Welcome to the conversation and to the Healing Circle. And I said before you came, you were going to be joining us as a surrogate talking about the powerful and historic Harris Walz campaign. So with that, let me hand the talking stick to you, inviting you to talk about that and more, in as much as we're following the maximum Dr. B opened with, and that is that we understand that everything is connected. All of us are connected. All of the ideas, all the interests, all the solutions are connected. And you, Mayor Sharon Sayles Belton, are a solution maker. Good afternoon. Welcome, sister.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here with you and all of these esteemed guests. I've enjoyed listening to this conversation and really appreciate the opportunity to lend my voice to it and maybe explore with all of you how we can answer the question that we just heard Dr. Oliver speak to, and that is getting information, to our
Mhm.
community and to our community leaders so that they can apply that information and improve the quality of life of people in our community and as well in other communities across the country. This is not a new problem, and it is not a problem unique to Minneapolis. And we've got to find better ways of bringing the power of academia to city leaders and community leaders across the board. I want to just tell one quick story, if I could, before
Please.
I launch into the um, case, for the Harris Walz ticket. And I just I want people to just remember the year 1995 in the city of Minneapolis. That was the year that there were a record number of homicides in a very short period of time. What we learned about that circumstance is that a lot of the individuals who were involved in those crimes were young people between the ages of 13 and 25. And we asked the question of ourselves, what's going on here? What is the reason that we find so many of our young people and many of them youth involved in violent crime? Well, we didn't have all the answers to those questions, but I'll tell you what we did. We looked to the people who we thought could bring us that information and could give us some answers and who could help us devise some strategies. One of the places we went to was an organization called the Search Institute. And I'm sure many of you remember the Search Institute. It was run by Dr. Peter Benson for a number of years. So we went to the Search Institute and we asked them questions about youth development and leadership and conflict, etc. But we also went over to the University of Minnesota's Child and Youth Development Center and the professionals there. And we asked them to take a look at the information that we knew about these crimes, some of the other circumstances that may be contributing to the crimes in those areas where the violence was taking place, and to help us better understand what was going on and what might be a practical solution. Because everybody believed that the solution was, let's just hire some more police. Police aren't the solution because they're not the ones who are committing, in this instance, the crimes. It was young people. What are the motivations of young people? How does brain development work? I mean, we asked a number of critical questions. And then we actually hired an epidemiologist to help us, pull all of that information together and give us an important, in-depth narrative for what the problem really was and what the possible solutions were. Guess what? Armed with the right information, armed with information and data that was appropriately analyzed, we were able to come back and create a series of recommendations that we could, in fact, present to the community to say, if we apply these tactics, if we apply these strategies, if we are all collectively involved in this work, we can bring this juvenile violent crime statistic down? Well, you know what? Because we took the time to really get the right information properly analyzed, because we were willing to go back out to the community and explain to them what this data meant and how it contributed to the formation of the recommendations, we got everybody to buy in, get on board, collaborate, and we were able to, in fact, and the data says shows this, so I'm not just patting myself on the back or anything like that. We were able to drive that youth violent crime statistic down
Mm.
in less than a year because we did the right thing. And one of the right things means bringing everybody to the table and letting everybody contribute to
Yep.
contributing to being a part of the solution to the problem. So, you know what? My view is that there are some formulas for how the academic community and our grassroots community, our activists, our advocates can all work collaboratively together to resolve the problems that we're experiencing even today in our community. We need to take the time to do that. We need to ensure that all the partners are at the table. So I'm going to continually advocate for answering the question that Dr. Oliver put so eloquently on the table. How do we take the knowledge and expertise that we have and bring it to the community and actually solve our problems? How long in Minnesota do we want to live with the disparities that we have been talking about for the last 20, 30,
Mhm.
40, 50 years? How long?
Real good. Mhm.
Great question. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Sharon Sells Belton. Let me ask you to go straight into your work now as a surrogate for the campaign and talk about the importance of the campaign, how that ties into what you just said.
You know, one of the things that I think about always when I think about this particular campaign, I think about the issues of leadership. And I think about the questions that we as a society here in the United States always ask ourselves about leadership. And that question usually centers around, who can, who should lead? Now, having been, the first woman and the first African American elected mayor of the city of Minneapolis, I will tell you that there were a number of people who questioned whether or not I could lead a major U.S. city, lead the city that I grew up in. And for many, the question centered around two issues. She's Black. Can she lead effectively? She's a woman. Can she lead effectively? Is she tough enough? Shouldn't she be home with her kids? Isn't there some more reasonable work that she can do? All of these things to my face and in our community. Now, on the surface, all of you would think those are pretty ridiculous questions. But the truth of the matter is that there are people who still ask that question today. And they're asking it now in the context of um, the Vice President of the United States as a candidate for the presidency. And I say the question has been answered over and over and over and over again. Yes, women are competent to lead this country. We are competent to lead in every opportunity where we have the chance. And the question is, it's in this case, it's up to the American voter. And so, what's the challenge for the campaign? What's the challenge for Vice President Kamala Harris? Her challenge is straightforward: sharing the information that she has about her experience in the role of vice president and in all of the key and extraordinary positions of leadership that she has had throughout her entire career. She has had to make the tough decisions when she was the city attorney. She had to make the tough decisions when she was, the attorney general. She's had to make the tough decisions when she was a senator. She's had to make tough decisions, informed decisions when she
Mhm.
was, or as she served as the vice president of the United States. So the question is whether or not we believe that she's ready. Now, I, for one, say I'm already on board, and I know she is. I know she is. I know she is because I have looked at her record. I have listened to her articulate her experience and as well apply that experience to how she would take on the responsibilities for being responsible for the greatest nation, at least in my opinion, you know, um, in on this planet. Um, can she stand up to bullies? Well, one would say that she had the opportunity to do that just a few nights ago,
That's
and I think
right.
she did very well. But that's not really what it's just all about, right? This is not about just, in my opinion, about beating Donald Trump, who is her challenger or who she's challenging. Um, I think this is really about the confidence that we have as the American people that this individual can do the job without regard to her race, without regard to her gender. There have been countless examples that we as women have had to face when we were, again, trying to demonstrate our competency. Just think back about that, if you would, for just one moment.
Mhm.
There was a time when we didn't believe that women could be firefighters. In fact, we called the position firemen. There was a time when they didn't see women as being leaders in law enforcement. And in fact, back then they called the job policeman. We don't use those archaic terms anymore because we have demonstrated over the years, that we can do any job that we are trained and qualified to do. So I think this notion about gender and about race have played themselves out. And again, trust me, I know and understand and believe that there are people who don't really accept that notion, and they're stuck, in the past. But our job and our responsibility is to let people, know that it's time for us to move forward, and that we're not going back, to the old narratives. We are not giving up on any of the successes that we have achieved as women, or even more broadly, as a country.
Mhm.
And those are the messages that I want to articulate each and every day as people ask the question about who they're going to vote for.
Mhm.
Most of my friendship circle, most of the people in my circle don't raise the question anymore about whether or not the country is ready to elect a woman, because we believe that has been proven um, countless times. Women have been appointed to head some of the most influential divisions in our government. And we can point to women on both sides of the political party. Condoleezza
Mhm.
Rice, for
Mhm.
example. Give me
Mhm.
a break. She was the leading um, person in the world with regard to national and global security. So we've demonstrated this over and over again. So I think the jury is out, and the jury come back and said, yes, we're ready to turn the corner. We're ready to give the most qualified person the opportunity to lead the United States, of America. And again, that person is Kamala Harris. Now,
Mayor,
I'm absolutely delighted. Let me just get this one
go
point out.
ahead.
I'm absolutely delighted that when she was vetting, candidates to be her running mate, she looked to Minnesota. She looked to Minnesota and found an individual in Governor Tim Walz who represents, all that is good about America and certainly
Mhm.
all that is good about Minnesota.
Mhm.
I will tell you, my phone was ringing off the hook when she announced that him as her choice. And the people who were calling me were calling me from, again, Washington, D.C., New York City, California, Montana, Wyoming, for that matter. It was just
Mhm.
incredible. And the reason why they were excited is because they knew Tim Walz's record and they really believed that he represented, the heartland of America. And that's what we need. We need to bring the heartland of America back into the White House so that we can lead the nation forward. We need to put the divisiveness that unfortunately has dominated the debate between Republicans and Democrats behind us and move forward as one. So I just wanted to get that out as my opening statement, Al, and
Hmm.
look forward to, you know, rigorous discussion.
Well, we'll probably do that in succeeding weeks because we're getting out of time already. But what a wonderful beginning. But I want to throw out one question and ask everybody to grab it. And I want to invite everybody back because I think this is a conversation that has to go on and on and on. In fact, that's the premise, Dr. Oliver. How do we communicate this broadly, consistently, all the time, everywhere, so that ordinary people uh, uh,
That's right.
master the vocabulary that allows us to articulate our victory, our future, our success, and our will in creating and being co creators of the future. The question is transformation. And would all of you think about this? Joe Biden, when he began, said he was going to be a transformative president.
Right.
I think I know what he means right now because in selecting Kamala Harris, he's really brought the epitome of that idea forward and placed it in motion. And guess what? Uh, Tim Walz, exactly the same thing. The power that he has as an effective and leading governor, but making the decision to join that ticket also creates a daisy chain effect with the potential of a Native American indigenous woman
Mm-hmm.
becoming the first governor of Minnesota and the potential of Bobby Joe Champion, who's president of the Senate, becoming the first African American lieutenant governor. A chain of events, all of it around the question of transformation. Uh, Dr. Aaron, Dr. B, Stephanie, Dr. Williams, and Mayor Belton, Sharon Sayles Belton, is transformation what we're talking about right now? Is transformation at hand? Let me go to Aaron first and then Stephanie, and be brief because we've got about 5 minutes altogether.
Yes, absolutely. I see that we're right on the cusp of a space and time where I can see some pretty incredible things happening for our country. And I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. So I don't want to take too much time, but I think that that is a really great way of understanding the way in which transformation can happen is
And how
this.
does a tool like Alice fit into that?
So Alice, Alice, I feel just to think of Dr. Oliver's question earlier, Alice is a conversation. It's a data set, yes, but it's the conversation. And I think that what we've been talking about as we're talking about this transformation is stories, conversation, and community based. And so I think that Alice is going to be a part of this conversation and is going to be an inherent part of that transformation that's happening.
Stephanie, would you take the talking stick?
All right. And you're talking about what's the question again? So I want to make sure I want to.
Well,
I
what's
sure.
on your heart? No, what's on your heart? You can speak to what this moment is speaking to you.
Well, I think this moment, I think we are all recognizing that there's a collective fatigue with the status quo. We are tired of seeing our neighbors, our friends, our family members going without, and they're working hard and they're doing all the things, they're doing all the right things, and they're still not getting the promise of the American dream, right? And I think there's a collective fatigue in that. And I think we do want to go forward. We're at this point where we're willing to try new and different things. in order to get there. And I think there's a will where there wasn't 40 years, there wasn't 20 years ago, hell, there wasn't 10 years ago. And so I think tools like Alice and, getting out the vote and all, with advocacy, systems change driven advocacy, I think we'll get there. I think we'll get to, we'll start to enter where we can begin to see transformation, not just, discrete wins, but wins that lead to, transformative systems change. So I'm really excited about this moment. I think, we are at a point where we can do some meaningful things here. And I'm really excited.
Dr. Oliver, I'm talking sick to you. 30 seconds, maybe a minute, thoughts, impressions.
Well, the thing that I think about is the fact that you have evidence that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have been useful in trying to get community to do better and have evidence of that. You don't have that with Trump. What you have with him is a person that wants to look backwards to, and I also think about rigging. He has rigged the system to work better for his group of people who haven't done well by, most people. But you have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz that have evidence of trying to do better, for more people, and have Sharon Belton, who has evidence of doing well by the groups that she has led, and evidence, in terms of her work. So, and I also was pleased that the debate that Kamala Harris showed that she was very capable of handling a person who's been a bully. So, I'll keep it there and let you.
Let me ask Sharon Sayles Belton to take 30 seconds with the introduction, and then we're going to close with Dr. B. Mayor Belton.
So the one thing that I would just say is that electing Kamala Harris president of the United States and Tim Walz as her vice president would be a very great thing. But I will also tell you that we need to be paying our attention to who's also in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate. We saw under President Obama how a Republican Senate really tried to thwart his entire agenda. So again, in order to get things done, you have to have collaboration on multiple levels. And so let's pay attention to the big picture as we come into this next season of politics in America.
And Dr. B, you're going to close us out.
Okay, I'm glad to do that. We come back full circle, realizing that we stand here, the embodiment of centuries of dreams. We hold the power of generations of people who could not vote. We hold the power of generations of people who have died so that we just pick up that pen and write who we want and use our minds, our bodies, and our spirit to overcome any oppression. Ain't nobody gonna stop us. Ain't nobody gonna turn us around but us. And we must remember, it's not all about us. The time is now. And that's a divine appointment. And with that, I drop the mic.
There we go. Well, the mic has been dropped. Thank you all for being here. Sharon, you have to come back and talk about South Africa. And a bunch of more. I mean, I think we need to have this conversation about South Africa and about the election a bunch of more times between now and the election.
Yes.
Can I call you back again?
Absolutely, Al. Good to talk to you today.
All right. Take care. I'm Al McFarland. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.